Hi, I'm Terry Cooper, the Texas RV professor, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Everything RV. Well, this is part 2 with Bill Russey, the propane safety instructor with the Texas Railroad Commission. We've asked him to give us a little bit of instruction on propane cylinders. Bill, thank you again for making the trip for us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Terry.
Well, I'm going to let you just jump in. Kind of walk us through what we have here, Bill.
Well, what we have here are the two most common sizes of propane cylinders that you'll find on recreational vehicles. This particular cylinder here is what we call a 20-pounder because it holds 20 pounds of propane.
Okay.
Now, your consumer usually calls this a 5-gallon bottle. Well, it's really not 5 gallons, and that's why the industry does call it a 20-pounder. It holds about 4.7 gallons is all that it does hold.
Okay.
This particular unit here is a 30-pounder, meaning it holds 30 pounds of propane. These units are equipped with what we call an overfill prevention device. The OPD is there, it's a safety feature to keep it from accidentally being overfilled with propane. We want to fill the unit to 80% full. We need 20% room in there for expansion, and also we put liquid in this. The liquid has to boil and become a vapor. The vapor is what we actually burn in the appliances and use in the appliances. So we need the 20% room there for the vapor, because that's what we're going to use.
Okay. At what temperature does propane boil?
Propane liquid boils at minus 44 degrees Fahrenheit at atmospheric pressure. Now, realize that we're putting liquid inside this container. Obviously not this one, it has a big hole in it, but the container that you put it in is what we call a pressure vessel. Because we're putting it under pressure, that's how we maintain a liquid state for it. It's important you realize that is minus 44 degrees. If you get that white liquid on you, it comes out in a white cloud. If you get that white cloud on you, it's going to be very cold and can cause frostbite. So you want to be very careful. Make sure it's always in an upright position whenever you're dealing with the propane cylinder.
All right. Talk to us a little bit about the OPD device.
Well, the OPD device, this particular unit here, is an overfill prevention device. It has a small float down in the bottom here. It works much like the needle and seat of a carburetor does.
Very good. Okay.
Now, this particular unit here has a float on it that as the liquid comes up, the float floats up to the top and then shuts off the float going in. Works much like the float in your toilet bowl.
Right, okay.
That keeps it from overfilling.
Okay, and what's the other component that we're looking at?
Well, we're also looking at, this one turns because I use this in my classes. On the side here we have a screw. This screw is what we call the fixed liquid level gauge. It's attached to a tube, which we call the dip tube, which comes down to the 80% mark. As the propane dispenser operator is filling the container, he can take a screwdriver and open this up. As he's filling, when the liquid comes up, if the liquid touches the bottom of the dip tube, it will come out a small hole underneath here. It'll come out as a white fog.
Right, right.
Once that white fog appears, the dispenser operator then shuts off the flow of propane going into it. The container is full. Now here in Texas, we have to weigh these things. They have to be put on a scale, so you got to take them off your RV.
Okay.
You take them in, they put them on a scale, they do some math to figure out what the scale should be set at.
Right.
Then,
but not all states are doing that, though.
That is true. Not all states do have to weigh them, but that is something we do here in Texas.
Very good.
Just another safety issue with us. So we do have 3 ways that we can determine that this container is full. We have the scale itself, we have the overfill prevention device, the float here, and we have the fixed liquid level gauge. Any of these 3 can be used to determine that it is full, but it must be sitting on a scale.
Now, talking about the thin material, can you go into a little bit more description and issues that we need to be thinking about in terms of how we handle our propane cylinder?
Well, you don't really want to beat these things up.
Okay.
You don't want to throw them in the back of the truck to...
So don't use any hammers either?
Right.
Oh, Bill, come on.
Watch the scrapes and gouges on it.
All right. So when we take it in, the technician is going to take a look at our cylinder. He's going to look and see what kind of dents, scratches, rust, and things like that. Now, if he says he has some concerns about that cylinder, can we just take it down the road to somebody else that will fill it?
If a dispenser operator says they have concerns about it, you probably ought to get a new cylinder.
And they're really not that expensive.
Not really.
Now when you consider the life of your family?
That is
Very
true.
good. Okay. Well, anything else, Bill, that you think we need to cover?
That ought to cover it.
All right. Bill, I appreciate you taking the time for us.
Thank you.
Well, this has been another episode of Everything RV, and I want to thank you for joining us. Hey, just remember, it's our job to help you keep your wheels rolling, so stay with us and we'll go on down the road with you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye now.